This video is about Mercury in Sagittarius. So, how can Mercury show up in a person if it's in Sagittarius in someone's birth chart? So, Mercury is said to be in detriment in Sagittarius. It's one of its home signs is Gemini, and Gemini is opposite Sagittarius. And the other home sign of Mercury is Virgo, and the opposite sign of Virgo is Pisces, and it's said to also be in detriment in Pisces. So I think in Sagittarius it's in detriment because Mercury at its core wants to get into the details, the nitty gritty, wants to explore like information about what is around me. And Sagittarius at the heart is very much about sort of looking at what is out there, what is beyond what is around me. So it's also very curious, like Gemini, but Sagittarius is more curious about things that are more in a way like wide ranging. So Gemini is about sort of um, trying different flavors and not necessarily committing. And Sagittarius is more about, well, exploring philosophical ideas and like religions and what is going on in other countries and things like that. So that is kind of like partly what's the Sagittarius sign field has to do with. So I think when Mercury is in Sagittarius in someone's birth chart, it is a tendency of these folks to always want to look at what is beyond what is in my immediate surroundings. So it's very curious about philosophy, and it's curious about like what is going on internationally and socially. Um, Whereas Mercury in Gemini might want to look at what is going on with the people around me and sort of wanting to talk to a lot of people in the neighborhood or something like that and kind of analyze situations um, kind of around me. Sagittarius is about sort of exploring um, like a wide landscape of things that are um, away from the scope of what is here. It's like a larger scope. And so certain challenges can come with this because it's in detriment. So I think Mercury in Sagittarius can have a hard time at times sort of focusing on what is right here, what is important right now, because it's always thinking about the next thing, or it's always thinking about um, what is the big picture. Not so good with details. It's not the strength of Mercury in Sagittarius to be good with details or very detailed information. So I think Mercury in Sagittarius can struggle with staying present in the sense of being able to focus on something right here in the present, because it is an idea placement. It's very much like a wild idea placement, right? So it's going to want to look at things that are out there and like almost like not caring as much about what is here, but its focus naturally, like Mercury's natural focus in this sign is about what is out there and what is the big picture and how do the pieces fit together, which is also Mercury, in a way that is more wide ranging. So Mercury in Sagittarius can also be very philosophical. It can have an interest in philosophy, religion, politics, writing, reading about things that are like big and wide in the world, worldly. I think Mercury in Sagittarius also can struggle with. I don't mean to just focus on the struggles here, but I think they can struggle also with being overly blunt in certain situations, because I think Mercury in Sagittarius is always going to want to tell the truth, and it wants justice and it wants the truth, right? So I think Mercury in Sagittarius people sometimes can come across very blunt, to the point where some people, maybe with different placements, find it hard to handle the Mercury in Sagittarius person's words. Um, Maybe also if there's some Scorpio influence. So a lot of people with Sun in Scorpio have Mercury in Sagittarius. So I think Mercury in Sagittarius, because it doesn't care as much about the details, like I said before, it can also, because of that, have the tendency to want to just be snappy with their words, and just like, um, it's a fire sign, it's more snappy, more energetic. So it can be snappy and sort of wants to like cut the bull and just get into, well, what is the bigger picture, or what is the truth? So it's not interested in sort of sugarcoating, for example. I know someone with Mercury in Sagittarius who is not overly interested in sort of, yeah, like the details of what is being said, or talking in detail himself. So it's kind of about just saying the truth of the matter in the moment, kind of thing. And at times it can make it seem flippant, because it's like you're, I think a part of the Mercury in Sagittarius challenge, if we're talking about some of the challenges of this placement, it isn't detriment, is that um, the Mercury in Sagittarius person can sort of flippantly brush over certain information or detail, because it's more interested in just the essence and the bigger picture. So at times it can miss pieces of information that for other people, may have been obvious or may have been important, but for the Mercury and Sagittarius person, it's not what is best serving what they're looking for. So it doesn't really matter to them. So they can easily brush over certain details or certain types of information, because they're interested in the bigger picture and painting a bigger picture. I think Mercury in Sagittarius can also be very adventurous and intellectually interested in learning and having adventures of the mind, because Sagittarius is kind of an adventurous sign, and Mercury is also to do with just our mind, our intellect. I think it's an excellent position for learning, for lifelong learning. So going to university, like at any age, could be a very Mercury and Sagittarius thing. Just very interested in expanding the mind. And part of that is also that, Mercury and Sagittarius would rather be positive and optimistic than kind of get stuck in the details or the negativity, or like the more boring stuff that some people might get caught up in. So I think learning and like going to university and all these things can be a way for them to expand their mind, and like what can actually be done in the future. What can I do in the future? What can society do in the future? What is the positive sides of a situation? Like learning is a very positive thing. It expands our mind. It allows us to see new perspectives, and that is very much a Sagittarius and Mercury and Sagittarius theme. It's they want to see different sides. They want to um, learn about the world. They want to see what is possible and optimistic and positive about any situation. They don't want to get down in the dumps. Sometimes when I would talk to my Mercury and Sagittarius friend, he would mm, often try to make me reframe things into something positive, and he would have like these philosophical insights about certain things that make perfect sense, because he's trying to get me out of a rut, or he's trying to get me to reframe something. So I think Mercury and Sagittarius can be very much a reframer. And in some ways, this can be challenging for certain other individuals, because the Mercury and Sagittarius person will seem or appear to brush over certain information because they're only interested in the positive. That can be an expression of Mercury and Sagittarius, is that they're only interested in exploring the positive, that they don't want to dwell on the negative or dwell on the details. So I think overall, if you observe people with Mercury in Sagittarius, they can very much come across as people who, like when you ask them a question, they will go into like a far away place in a way. Like they will start discussing something in a philosophical way. You might ask something very pragmatic, but they would have some kind of a big idea about it, or some kind of philosophical idea about it. So, they can be the sorts of people who just will always see the meaning and will always see the possibility in situations. Like, what are the possibilities of this situation? And again, not interested in dwelling on the negativity or the details. But that can at times, like I said, also mean that they brush over certain information that other people would like to discuss or talk about. And Mercury and Sagittarius people can be sort of, when you're in conversation with them, they can be sort of fun and snappy. They can be in a good way or in a challenging way. So they're interested in just like having a laugh, having fun, but also very serious about their learning and very interested in and open always to learning new things and expanding their mind and learning throughout their whole life. I think those are some of the key themes of Mercury and Sagittarius. If I think of anything else, I can make another video. There's a lot that can be said about these positions. And if you enjoyed this, please do subscribe. And if you want more, do subscribe and leave a comment if you have Mercury and Sagittarius, or if you know someone with Mercury and Sagittarius, and how this shows up in those people. And leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Thank you.